Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Chemistry with DB. In this video I'm going to explain the concept of electrolysis. So this is one concept that most students find pretty challenging. So this is why I thought let me explain this. Now mind you, here we are going to study the electrolysis of molten ionic compounds. So let's first of all see what is electrolysis. So basically means electricity, lysis means breaking. So it means breaking a compound or substance using electricity. That is called electrolysis. Now when we are trying to break down a compound, so generally we are talking about ionic compounds. Now you know that the ionic compounds are made up of positive and negative ions. So let's say for example we are trying to electrolyze a solution, a molten copper bromide. Now you know that the ionic compounds have a giant ionic lattice structure. That means the ions are threaded together in a lattice, both the positive and negative ions. In a solid form, the ions are not free to move, so this is why electricity cannot be conducted. Therefore, the ionic compound has to be in the form of a molten or aqueous solution, okay, in order for electricity to pass through. But in this video, I am going to explain the electrolysis of molten ionic compounds only. For aqueous solution, you can watch the next video. Now, when we have a molten ionic compound, then what, let's say for example, we were looking at copper bromide. Now, copper bromide has got copper ions and bromide ions. For this electrolysis to happen, you would need electrodes, two electrodes, okay. One is a positive. The positive electrode is known as anode and the negative electrode is called cathode. And both of these electrodes, these are made up of graphite, because graphite is an inert substance. That means it doesn't react with anything, so therefore these are made up of graphite. And the substance which has to be broken, for example copper bromide liquid here, because it was a molten, so that is going to be forming the electrolyte, because this is the substance which is going to be broken down. So that is the electrolyte. So that is going to be copper bromide molten, right? So what will happen is that copper bromide, when you pass electricity through this, it will break down into its elements. That means you will get copper metal and bromine liquid will be formed here. Copper is an element and bromine is also an element. So any ionic compound in a molten form, if it is electrolyzed, then it will give rise to its respective elements. Now let's see some notes for this one I have given you here. So what is electrolysis? Electrolysis is breaking an ionic compound using electricity. Electrolyte here is the molten or aqueous solution of the ionic compound. Electrodes are made up of graphite because it's inert. Positive electrode is called anode and negative electrode is called cathode. Now when we were electrolyzing the molten copper bromide, then you know this was made up of Cu2 plus ions and bromide ions. The positive ions, which is the copper Cu2 plus ions, these being positively charged, they will go to the negative cathode, and what will happen, that they will gain electrons. I'll show this in half equation form also. Bromide ions, which are negatively charged, these will go to the positive anode, because positive and negative always attract each other, particles. And there what they would do is, these being negative ions, they will lose electrons to form the element. Both the ions, copper ions will form copper metal, bromide ions will form bromine element. So copper bromide, the product will be copper metal solid and bromine. Cu in a symbol form, CuBr2 liquid will give you copper solid and bromine liquid. Now let's see what is going to happen on the half equation front. So I told you that CuBr2 is made up of Cu2 plus ions, and there are two of these bromide ions. Cu2 plus ions are positively charged, so these will go to the negative, which is the cathode. The cathode is rich in electrons, and therefore what will happen is that these Cu2 plus ions will gain these 2 electrons from the cathode. As a result, this will form copper metal. Okay, the charge is same on both sides. You see, this is 2 positive and this is 2 negative, which will cancel each other, and copper element is a neutral atom that you know. So this is how copper metal will be formed, which is a solid, and that will coat the cathode. And copper is a pink, pale pink solid, like a salmon color. So that solid colored copper, this will coat the in this way. So this will be the copper metal. At the anode, on the other hand, what will happen is these 2 bromide ions, these will go to the positive anode, and there what they would do, they would lose 2 electrons to form the bromine liquid. You see, so therefore this bromine is a orange color liquid. So you will see that so this is what had happened at the negative electrode, and the positive electrode will have, you will see some orange colored liquid over here, which is bromine. So this is how you can see that half equation wise also you can explain this. And if you have to explain these half equations in terms of oxidation and reduction, then you would know that Cu2 plus ions have gained these 2 electrons. Therefore, it's going to be reduction. And on the other hand, bromide ions on here, these have lost electrons. Therefore, it is oxidation, because loss of electrons is oxidation, gaining electrons is reduction. So I hope you were able to understand the electrolysis of molten ionic compounds. For the rest of the ionic compounds also it will work exactly in the same manner. So let's say some practice questions from here. So zinc iodide, if you just have to predict the products, so what you would get? You would get zinc metal plus I2. Sodium oxide, you will get sodium metal and oxygen gas. Calcium chloride will give you calcium metal and chlorine gas. So this is how very easily you can predict the products if you are given a molten ionic compound and you are electrolyzing this. So I hope this video was useful and you were able to understand this. Now if we have to look at it from the half equation point of view, then zinc iodide, so Zni2 is made up of Zn2 plus and 2I minus. So Zn2 plus ions will go to the cathode. So at the cathode, Zn2 plus go, because these are cathode was negative. And what they will do, they will gain these 2 electrons to form zinc metal, and at the anode the 2I minus, because these are negatively charged, so they will go to the positive anode, and they will lose these 2 electrons to form iodine. And this is how you are getting the elements zinc and iodine from electrolysis of zinc iodide molten. So I hope this video was useful, and if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe, and I would look forward to see you on my next video. Bye. Take care.